There we go.
Here we go.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I'm seeing there's 30 already. Great.
Here we go.
Plan was just to go on a little bit early, but I can see you guys are all keen and ready, which is great. 35, great. So we'll just wait till there's about 50 coming in, and then we can chat you through kind of what we're going to do. But firstly, thank you very much for supporting this event. It's a bit of a different tasting than what we're all used to. But the idea of this is that we can enjoy the social benefits of a night out while you guys can stay at home, and yeah, hopefully we just have some fun and have some whiskey and donuts. So yeah, 48 already, great. So
Here we go.
we delivered your packs today, so we haven't had anything back, so hopefully you guys got all those okay. We're just going to run you through kind of the layout here, because just to make sure we're doing the right whiskies with the right donuts. So I'm going to describe them in a really stupid way, just because Nicole, who's made the donuts, is going to describe them properly. So if you're looking at your sheet, we want you to go left to right. So whiskey number 1, far left, and that should be with the little sugary ring. Whiskey 2 should be with the green icing. Whiskey 3 should be with the pineapple. 4 with the little chocolate one, and then 5 should be with the one with the wee sort of twisted orange on top. So it looks like, I think, pretty much everyone's in and ready. So I know you guys have been looking at them, so have we. So I think we just get started. Yeah. So any questions throughout? We've got John here as well with us over here managing our. You can come around and say hello, John.
Man in the background.
Almost. Here he is. So any questions throughout the night? These tastings are always, it's a bit weird kind of talking to a computer screen with no sort of feedback. So if you guys want to just ask questions, it'll help us. And I'm sure, there you go. Hi, John.
Hi, John.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. Nice, John.
So it help us keep it kind of flowing a bit more naturally for us as well. So yeah, I think we just start. So we didn't really tell you what whiskey you were getting. So whiskey number 1 we have is Fettercairn 12. So Fettercairn might be one of those whiskies, certainly for me anyway. It kind of goes under the radar a wee bit until now. In 2018, they kind of rebranded Fettercairn, and I think they've done a really cracking job of it. It really stands out. Fettercairn's owned by White Mackay, and it's one of the main parts of the White Mackay blend that's super, super popular. And their new range is it's a little bit unusual. They've got a 12-year-old, and then it jumps up to a 28, and then it goes 40 and 50. I've been doing a little bit of digging to try and find out what that is, and basically what happened was they've had a bit of a checkered ownership history, and when Diageo sold them to White Mackay, what happened was they kept some of the stock. So this 12-year-old, I think, retails for about £48, and then you're up to about 500, and then I think I wrote these down, 3,000 and 10,000 for the 50-year-old. So my goal by the end of today is if we get loads of followings, likes, and shares, we can noise these guys up for the next one and say, oh, the next one's the 28. So fingers crossed they'll send us one. So yeah, I'll pass over to Nicole, who has been working since 6 o'clock this morning and last night making these donuts. They look super delicate and simple to make, but actually there's so much work that goes into these.
It's a labor of love.
You wouldn't believe. So the whiskey is, as I say, Fettercairn. I should say some of the flavors. It's classic, so 12 years American ex-bourbon barrels. Really, really nice whiskey. Interesting thing about the production of it actually is they're the only distillery in Scotland to have water cooling on the outside of their stills, which is really, really weird. Normally, when the vapors go up a still, they come out and go into a condenser, but they actually put cold water jackets on the outside of their stills. So what happens is as the vapors go up, that cools the stills, and then they drop back down, so only the lightest vapors get up. So the reason we've chosen this as number 1 is it's quite light, it's quite delicate, and yeah, just a very nice kind of dram to start us off. But I'll let Nicole, I'm rambling about whiskey facts too much.
Yeah, this is good though, because I've been out the whiskey game for a while, so this is a little bit of revision for me now. It's great. Yeah, so the first donut here on our list is a pear and cinnamon compote. So pear is obviously a kind of juicy, super light, sort of soft, gentle fruit, and that cinnamon kind of brings out a big punch, and then we've rolled it in a cinnamon sugar as well to kind of lift all of those sort of bigger flavours. So should be quite a light, sort of easy one that matches Fettigen.
Yeah, nice. I think tonight as well, like as I say, Whisky and Doughnuts is quite unusual. My plan is to drink about half my whiskey and about half my donut, and then once we get through them, just kind of mix and match. And if you guys find any combinations that work throughout the night, write them in the comments and we'll try them.
Yeah, we've completely just sort of gone off the bat with things that we really like and things that we think work with the whiskies, and but you know, our palates are completely.
Might not work.
It might not work. Yeah, it might be horrendous. So hopefully my judgment's a bit better than that. But yeah. So have a wee taste and
cheers, guys.
Thanks, lad. I'm tucking into this one.
Yeah, go for it.
It's light, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Easy drinking.
Good. So yeah, I'm going to try and play around. I think I'm going to try some. I know Johnny and Erica from Whisky and Doughnuts are joining us later on, and I've seen Johnny do a nice tactic where he takes a bite of a donut and then a sip of the whiskey. So I was quite intrigued to try that.
I'm intrigued to know if anybody got a bit too tempted this afternoon once they had received the deliveries and maybe nibbled on some donuts before they were supposed to. I'd be very interested to see. So let us know if you have. I know I've had about 5 already today, so this is my second round.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner for you.
Yeah, there we go. The baker's diet. That's
It's really enjoyable. Yeah.
Easy drinking, 12-year-old, feels like.
Yeah.
It's not too punchy.
Breakfast kind of style whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Fan of Fettigen. So let us know what you think of that as well, guys. As I say, they've rebranded and kind of coming back to life now. So I'd be interested to hear what you think. We stock this in the bar, and as I say, we are tempted to try the older stuff. It comes at a bit of a price, but would be interesting. Okay, so let's move on to number 2. Any questions so far, John?
No
questions. People are just enjoying the Whisky and Doughnuts.
Whisky and Doughnuts, great. Good.
Fine. Okay, so whiskey number 2. I thought we'd try something a little bit different for everyone. So Hakushu is Japanese whiskey. We get asked about Japanese whiskey quite a lot in the bar, and I think every single person here absolutely loves it. They really do take care in their whiskey, and they've been doing it for almost 100 years. So Yamazaki was set up in 1923, and this is another distillery owned by Suntory called Hakushu. Hakushu are a really interesting distillery. They're kind of they're located in what's called the Japanese sort of Alps, so really sort of mountainous, the highest distillery in Japan, 700 meters above sea level. And they make a really, really interesting spirit, really light, quite floral. And there's also a hint of smoke in there too. Some interesting facts about Hakushu. It was basically Suntory were struggling with Yamazaki. It was kind of getting quite old, and they needed to meet the demand in Japan for whiskey. So they decided in 1970 they started building Hakushu and completed it in 73. The demand was still on the rise, so they decided in 81 to expand. And there were sort of 2 distilleries side by side. So one got known as West Hakushu, and then one got the more modern one became East Hakushu. And what happened was after that is, again, demand just kept going and going and going. And Hakushu was actually the biggest producer of whiskey in the world, which most people, until I really started looking into Japanese whiskey, I'd never even heard of it. But to give you an idea of how big they were, they produced 30 million litres per year of spirit, which is huge. Now in Scotland, I think Glenlivet are the biggest producer, and they produce 21 million litres. I don't know if you guys have been to New Macallan Distillery. It's very high tech and really impressive. I don't know, I can be careful what I say, I guess. Well, I don't, I'm not connected to Macallan in any way, but it's not my...
Big and shiny.
Yeah, it's the Disneyland of distilleries. And it's good because it brings people in and they sort of learn about whiskey. And it is very informative and everything, but Macallan's whiskey is just getting a little bit expensive for what it is, I think, in my opinion. But there goes our Macallan hopes on Whisky and Doughnuts. Yeah. Well.
Perks the win.
But yeah, so 30 million litres in their peak. Macallan at 15 million. So even with their brand new distillery, Hakushu, back in the 80s, were producing double that. So they were huge. Biggest distillery in the world in terms of production. Yeah, massive. Unfortunately, like a lot of distilleries in Scotland in the 80s, whiskey took a bit of a turning point, and what happened is that the demand just dropped off. So the west wing of Hakushu became redundant, and they now just run with the east wing, which is 6 spirit stills and 6 wash stills. Still making the same style of spirit, but I think it's about 3 million litres, I think, a year now. So about a tenth of what they were doing at the peak. In terms of flavour, as we say, super light, super fruity. In the bar, we kind of describe this as the Sauvignon Blanc of the whiskey world, kind of like really light and fresh. So yeah, have a nose and see what you think, and Nicole can chat you through the donut.
We've stuck to the Japanese route here, so obviously the green might look a bit scary, but it's matcha. So we've gone with a matcha and vanilla custard on the inside, and matcha is quite a subtle flavour. It's green tea. Effectively, it's like a powdered form of green tea, but it's quite herbaceous and floral and really light, and it's got loads of antioxidants and good properties. So
healthy.
One of your 5 a day, absolutely, But yeah, so we've got vanilla custard on the inside, and then you've got the matcha glaze on the outside as well. So it should work quite well. Do you have a favourite Japanese whiskey? Like one that's a standout for you? Sorry, I want you to finish.
Good question. I was lucky enough to go to Japan last year for the rugby, which was great, and it was actually a work trip. I went there and drank whiskey every day to benefit my knowledge for customers.
Hardworking.
Selfless, actually. Selfless.
Of course.
Not many people would do that.
No.
But I did.
It's good of you to know.
Yeah, and look at the knowledge. I mean, another trip's probably due. But no, yeah, I went to Japan, and Japanese bartending is great. Kind of learned a lot over there just in terms of service and the way they kind of act in bars. We're really lucky in the Malt Room. You guys who support us are great, but in general, I think it's safe to say in Scotland, bartending is kind of viewed as a sort of intermediate, whereas over there, it's definitely a professional career, and the way they serve and look after you is phenomenal. Even the way they drink whiskey. So with the climate over there is obviously quite hot, particularly in Tokyo, where it's very, very sort of muggy. That we love a gin and tonic in this country, they love a highball. So a highball is basically whiskey and soda with some lemon or whatever garnish you like, really, and it's super, super refreshing. So not really answering your question, have I? I'm just talking about holiday. Yeah. Favorite Japanese whiskey?
It's like you're taking a slag into that as well.
Oh, am I? Oh, here we go. Yeah, I've opened myself up here, haven't I? Yeah. Okay. Great. Hard one. We did get to try that. When you back in the day when Nicole worked here, a gentleman did come in and he had some Kurosawa, which is kind of like the Port Ellen of Japan. So very, very sought after closed distillery in Japan, and bottles range now from 3,000 to 50,000 pounds a bottle. So not something that we would have normally in the bar, or it's just a crazy high end. It's more investment whiskey than anything. But the guy came in and said, "Oh, do you mind if..." It was actually with guys from Tomatin, and said, "Oh, do you mind if I bring out some whiskey for you guys to try?" And it was like a Monday night.
Yeah, it was super quiet.
Super quiet. It was just them, and he said, "Yeah, what have you got?" And then he pulled that out, and we were like,
"What?"
And yeah, just poured us around, and all placebo aside, someone says, "Oh, this is super expensive, it's super rare, it's super great," it's quite easy to be, thinking, yeah, that's, it's going to be great, but generally it was fantastic. But in terms of affordable Japanese whiskey, well, there isn't really any affordable Japanese whiskey anymore. It's very, very expensive. Yamazaki 18 for me is up there.
Yeah.
It's up there. But yeah, you're probably looking at £600 a bottle now. So
not quite in my Corona budget. So
no, not most people's, nor mine. But it is nice whiskey. It did win World's Best Whiskey at San Fran. So
I would say get your gnashers around that.
Sorry, I know I'm just rambling.
I think personally, I would say I prefer it already over the pear one. It's that custard's great. And I will say I definitely want to give all the credit. My sister and I, it's been in working Perk all day, making all these wee donuts for everyone. So I hope they're going to end well.
My John was laughing there for a while.
Yeah. You got any questions?
So Gordon Kidd asks where you got your haircut, Matt.
Oh, my haircut.
Wow.
Or is it smooth there? I think it looks pretty good now.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe you should tell that story.
Well, I don't know. You get more of a better view of it than me, I think.
Well,
So
it was me.
Yeah. So from sort of lockdown, myself, Nicole, and John and Naomi have been kind of doing deliveries in Perk. So we've kind of been working together as a sort of four. So I needed my haircut, as did John. And to be fair, the first time, half a bottle of wine in.
Yeah.
Good job.
Wine works well with me.
Sober,
Apparently.
not so good.
Yeah.
One thing when you're getting your haircut, you don't want to hear is, oh no, oh no. That's not what they normally say.
Listen, I can make donuts, okay?
Uh-huh,
Haircuts, it's not really my forte, but
Mhm.
you know, it keeps it out of your eyes.
It's grown back now. Yeah.
Well,
So I had a pretty much number 0 around my head and then looked like a sheep on top. But I think it's
yeah. Don't come to me for haircuts, folks. It's not
Yeah.
worth your time.
I'm gonna have some more whiskey. Yeah.
What do you think of donut?
Really like it. I
Yeah.
prefer it to number 1 as well. Actually,
Yeah.
like the custard. It's fresh. Goes with it. I think that goes with the whiskey. Really
Yeah,
nicely.
I think so too.
Yeah. Number 1 was, let's say, a nice starting point, but nothing like really jumped out at me. But that's really light and fresh. I like it.
You know, we had a matcha donut on our menu way back, maybe month like 2 of opening 3, maybe. And I think people are quite afraid because matcha is like, oh, what's that green thing? We don't need that in my coffee or in my tea. Or
It's not really a Highland delicacy, is it?
Maybe not, no. And so we always try and find like interesting ways of incorporating it. And this was a really good. I'm quite happy with that.
I really like that.
Mhm.
Actually, have some more of that.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to try and save it to the end, see if I can match it anything else. But yeah, really good.
Yeah, that's
Is
winning
this
for me.
aged at all? Is it
So that's non-aged.
not aged?
So good timing of asking a question.
Oh yes, sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah, I need to get used to this.
So non-age statement whiskey, quite a big thing just now, and it kind of splits opinion. A lot of people like to see an age in their whiskey. It doesn't particularly bother me if the whiskey's good. So Fukushu in their range do the Distiller's Edition. They do a 12, an 18, and 25, and I think they do a 30 and 40 as well, which is again 5 figures, eye-watering. And I think this is great. I think this retails maybe about £50-60 now.
Okay.
Which again is not cheap for a bottle of whiskey with no age on it.
Yeah.
But I think when you taste it,
Yeah.
it's a really unusual whiskey. It's very different. I think as a summer whiskey, it's great. Just light and easy. So yeah, I am a fan. Again, I'm going to sound like I'm slating Macallan again.
There's a punching bag tonight.
I know, but guys like Ardbeg do a great job on non-age statement whiskey. Things like Ugadal, Corrie Brecken, love them, but Macallan kind of came out with Gold, Sienna, Ruby and Amber and kind of charging the same prices as their 12, 18, 21, 25, but it was just noticeably younger in the glass and it just wasn't good. And I just didn't like the way they marketed it, to be totally honest. I don't have anything personally against Macallan.
Well, it's shaping up that way.
I know, it is. I need to...
Move on.
They're just a good example, but yeah, and also a bad example of non-age statement whiskey. But
Yeah.
Maybe keep off the Macallan.
Hey, they might send us something great and prove us wrong.
Prove us wrong. Chat, there you go, Macallan. If you're watching, which you're probably and definitely not, send us some whiskey.
Send us up.
Okay, so
Any other questions, John?
yeah, anything come through?
All good.
Everyone's content.
Everyone seems to content.
Good, nice.
Good.
Okay, so we've got whiskey number 3
like this.
Yeah. So whiskey number 3. A lot of you guys will probably recognise this bottle. Probably one of my favourite, if not favourite, Speyside distilleries. Balvenie. They're just, a fantastic distillery. David Stewart, who's their sort of master distiller and has been since, I wrote it down, 1962. He was quite pioneering in the whiskey world. I just seen your napkin get stuck there, so that was not sly. So yeah, he was quite pioneering. He did the sort of 12-year-old Doublewood, which for me is the kind of go-to Speyside dram. So his idea was he would move whiskey from one cask into another, which is totally normal now. Like we all talk about sherry casks, wine casks, rum casks, but he was the kind of first to do that. And then in the 80s as well, he was the first to kind of do a Solera system. So the Glenfiddich 15, which is in the Solera, he kind of came up with that as well. So he is still involved at William Grant's, who have Balvenie and Glenfiddich, but he's primarily involved now with Balvenie. Brian Kinsman took over being master distiller at Glenfiddich in 2008. So yeah, he's been in the industry since 62. So what's that, 48 plus 20, 68 years? Yeah.
Wow,
So
that's amazing.
and I've actually been lucky enough to be at a tasting with him as well, and he's one of the most genuine kind of people, and he knows so much, but he's just so humble about it. And I remember speaking to, I think it was Alwyn who did a tasting here for Balvenie, and she said, at the end of a tasting, they say, what dram would you like? Do you want the 25 or the 30? And he's just more than content with the 12-year-old. He just thinks it's great, and I couldn't agree. But we've actually taken sort of one up in the range from the 12 and gone for the 14. This is our best-selling dram in the bar, actually. It's the story with this is that Balvenie instructed on some rum to be made to their specifications in the Caribbean and aged it in casks, and then finished that whiskey they made in Scotland in these casks. So casks are in the Caribbean with rum, and then they take the casks over and then put the whiskey into the empty cask. So it's just such a go-to whiskey. It was actually the very first whiskey I drunk and enjoyed. I think when you grow up in Scotland, you get handed whiskey at parties and New Year and everything.
When you're 8
Yeah,
years old.
and you pretend to like it because you think you should, but actually it's minging, and you're like, oh, that's not great. However, this was the first whiskey I actually had and actually enjoyed in the glass. It's just super fruity, delicate, smooth. I really can't fault it. I think as a good an all-round whiskey, it's probably one of my favourites in Speyside. So yeah, tell me if you want it.
Yeah, so we've gone sort of on that Caribbean vibe, and we've gone for a pineapple meringue. So it's like a soft Italian pineapple meringue on the inside, and we've toasted a little bit on the top, and then we've got a dehydrated pineapple as well, which will taste super pineapple-y. So quite excited about this one again, but as a pairing, it should be quite fruity and light, and it'll be sweet too. Yeah, as a meringue.
Yeah.
So nice
Okay,
and soft, but yeah,
let's do it.
jumping straight in. Chin chin.
Cheers. Oh, that was good.
That's a nice noise. Save my pineapple
I get from my nose.
No.
No. I'm trying to find out. Good. Quite sweet, huh?
A dehydrated pineapple is like
Mm.
super powerful. I love that about dehydrated fruit. It's great.
Where did you get your dehydrator from?
Found it somewhere.
Found it somewhere. We used to have one in the bar, I'm sure.
I think it was me that recommended buying one at the beginning, and you never used it. So
It's ended up somewhere else.
I think it's actually in the bin to buy a new one.
Like that. So I think we are hopefully going to connect with Johnny and Erica. I think I see them on the bottom of the screen, almost kind of coming into the stream there. So we met Johnny and Erica last year at Spirit of Speyside, where we did a similar event to this. I think the little photo you guys, when you were buying tickets and seeing that was a similar setup to this we did last year. So we've asked them to join us from California. So hopefully they can come in. I did see them trying to come in, so we'll see if they come in. If they do,
Do you
they
have to
do.
accept them?
No, I've seen them kind of pop down in the bottom there.
Okay.
But again, this is the first time we use StreamYard, so could be a few. If they join us, great. If they don't,
Yeah.
we'll go on without it.
Yeah.
We'll see. So, any questions come in, John?
Yes, someone's asking if we have any independent whiskey bars of Scotland.
We do. We have the Highland Park.
Yeah.
So, is it 15? 15-year-old, yeah. So, we've the latest release from the Independent Whiskey Bar of Scotland was at Highland Park. So we have that available. We have by the Dram in the bar the Daft Mill, which is really, really nice too. There's actually a really interesting auction coming up with. So for those who don't know what the Independent Whiskey Bars of Scotland are, it is a group of 7 bars, I think now. 7 bars around Scotland. They're all independently owned, who we all just like each other's bars and want to support each other. And we want to have the best whiskey on our shelves in the bar. So buying kind of casks, your kind of choice of cask is kind of any whiskey fan's dream, but the cost of casks is quite prohibitive for a wee bar like us to buy a cask of 300 bottles doesn't really make sense. So as a group, and including Royal Mile Whiskies, who kind of act as a kind of distributor for us, we get to choose casks through Angus McRail. So there's the guys. So I'm going to jump around and try and get them in. But yeah, there's an auction for Daft Mill, which is, I'll jump around and see.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, as always, if you guys have any questions, just give us a wee shout out at the side.
Right, here we go. So if we add to stream, hey, and then if we
What's up?
do this.
How's it going?
What's up, friends?
Hi.
Good to see you.
You too.
Good to see you.
How's Corona treating you?
We're near the city of Corona, but we're staying healthy. So yeah, we're good.
Good.
How about you?
Yeah, good. Keeping busy, you know. Eating donuts, too many. But
Whoa!
Hey, brother.
Are you guys? You good?
I recognize that view.
Yeah.
first time you're back to the lab.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us. We thought we'd kind of introduce you guys to sort of our guys here. So a lot of our sort of regulars of the bar won't have met you guys, but we were just saying that we did an event with you guys last year at Spirit of Speyside and had a lot of fun doing it. And this actual idea of Whisky and Doughnuts is, it just so happens that I have a whiskey bar here and we have a donut shop next door, but the actual combination of pairing those things together came from you guys. So we just wanted to kind of ask you guys where that kind of idea came from, how it started, and just tell us a bit about it.
Shall I take this?
Yeah.
Well, we went on a late honeymoon. We ended up going to Speyside, staying at a cottage just in between Glenfiddich, Glenlivet. The owner at the time of the cottage was a very big whiskey buff, and we ended up bringing back quite a few bottles, or I brought back.
In my suitcase.
And so shortly after that, later that year, we ended up cracking some of those bottles open and with some friends, and we ended up going to a donut shop, local donut shop. And as the night went on, we kind of made this a virtual agreement that it was kind of like a collectively that Whiskey and Donuts went together. And I'm going to do a New Year's resolution and start this Instagram and social media brand, whatever it is. And within months, it kind of took off and people took to it. And I'm really surprised that it wasn't a thing. I'm sure it is, but
yeah,
it's really a thing. And what more fitting places that you're next door to each other to have a donut shop and a whiskey bar. It's kind of a dream come true for us. And the first time we ended up doing, the next year we came back, we ended up doing a tasting with Tomental. There was literally no donut spots in the Highlands. and it's just really nice to see every year there's a little bit more appreciation towards that donut culture, donut couture in your area.
Yeah.
So, and we're really blessed to have met you, and the whole pairing mentality of this thing is growing, and it's really nice to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, because I followed your account for a while, you know, and then you sent over that message. I couldn't believe it. It was like, oh my goodness, it's not Whisky and Doughnuts.
Yeah.
You know, my sister and I were like, this is amazing.
that was a good time last year. I can't believe it's been a year.
Here, Johnny, and he's like, look at this message that's got on Instagram. And I was like, don't care what's happening. Like, I'm coming to that event. Yeah.
Well, I'm really we're both beyond disappointed that that this year's Spirit of Space
Yeah,
got
I know.
canceled, because we, now the secret's out, we were looking to do something really special with at the distillery at Tomental, and potentially with some Highland distilleries, but I guess we'll have to make up for it in the coming years, and
We'll have to come up with
really
something.
keep this thing growing.
For sure. So we've got another couple of questions for you as well.
Sure.
You got a favorite ever combination?
The best combination?
As in,
My favorite.
Yeah, well, just whatever you think, like a personal favorite or one you think works really well.
Like specific expression and donut, or kind of just profile?
Just whatever. Really. I mean, we're trying this out tonight, and as I say, like hopefully everyone will have a favorite, but some obviously work, some don't. But like,
Yeah.
the one that you thought that is the best, perfect. Yeah.
Well, I will say I had I'm not much of a chocolate person, but the Tomatin 18 with that the deep dark bitter chocolates really work well. I did a pairing on that one I think last year. But what was the old fashioned that we did for the pairing?
Well.
Or is that supposed to be a surprise? Oh, sorry.
No.
Yeah. Because it was such a favorite between all of us, that we brought back the old fashioned for this tasting. So it's our final one.
Because the story behind that one is, I just threw it out there. I said, especially out here in Southern California, never seen an old-fashioned style cocktail donut.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of just put that word in a few donut makers' ears, and to see if they would end up doing it. No one has ever really kind of reciprocated. And so when I reached out to you before last year's pairing, I can't believe that you ended up making it happen. And that was one of the best donuts. As far as a pairing goes between whiskey and the actual donut, that was so individual and creative. And honestly, based upon what I was thinking, you nailed it as far as the flavor went. So I think that one's up there.
Great. What about you, Erica?
Gosh, well, donut-wise, I'm always a sucker for a blueberry donut. I love blueberry donuts. But combination-wise, I think we recently did an event, a pairing event with just some of my really close friends that I went to university with. And I think the favorite was a maple bacon donut with a smokier peaty whiskey. So I think that's a really good combination. I think it kind of reminds us of, that campfire, going to the beach, campfire, memories. It's nostalgic. So yeah.
That's the thing. Like,
how about you?
I'm kind of in the whiskey front, Erica. I'm with you. Like, I love smoky whiskey, but I have to say that like the best one again for me is the old fashioned. Like, I just think it's great. My favorite cocktail in general, and the donut is just bang on, and then the big sherry whiskey. It's the spot.
So have you offered that at the shop at all?
I haven't done it. I've maybe tried it as a weekend special or something. But no, I haven't incorporated it in the shop yet. So this tasting is very good for us, trying to come up with new things and try them out and see what people think, get some feedback, and then.
Well, I presume after this tasting, because what is there, 50 tasters in this room right now? And if they're local, I think you might have some requests after this.
Yeah,
I can almost guarantee.
Nice. Okay, so let's see. We just scribbled down some questions, so let's have a look what we have. So if you had to describe each other as a whiskey or a donut, what would it be?
I'm gonna let him go first, see where he takes it, and then I'll build off of that.
If you go to Disneyland
Yeah.
They sell donuts that are shaped like the characters, so I don't really know what the flavor is, but the way it looks, I'd probably be Goofy.
Yeah. Nice.
Does that sound about right, or no?
Yeah, no,
That's pretty good. I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
And then a whiskey. Oh man, getting sentimental and kind of I don't know. I have to go for that classic Speyside kind of sweet, little bit of smoke, very subtle, round on the edges.
Nice.
I don't know.
So you're a little bit sweet and a rough around the edge.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I'm opposite. Everything you just said, I'm probably opposite because I feel that we're very opposite.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you're a smoky whiskey, or?
Yeah, sure. No, I'm actually probably rough around the edges, depending.
We're getting rough. I thought we were saying around. Wow.
I don't know.
Okay, is this a whiskey tasting or a marriage council session?
Yeah, I know, right?
Is this intervention? Because you know
Yeah.
we've been stuck in the house
I know.
together for too long.
I know.
Oh, we gotta go now.
The last question.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what's the worst thing that's happened to you during a tasting? But I guess it might be this.
You asking me that question? No, okay. No, I think honestly, the things that I kind of thrive on or look forward to is the objectors in the room, the people that come in. Like there was, like as you saw last year, there was people that are curious enough to buy the ticket and attend the tasting.
Yeah.
But they're just so traditional with the whiskey. How dare you? What is a donut with this? How dare you? You know, oh, the youth of the world being punk rock with this pairing, you know, mentality, and then they convert. And there's a little bit of resistance, and then you get them towards especially the old-fashioned donut, and they're sold. You know, so there's nothing really negative or nothing too critical, but it's the beauty of a conversation. And the idea that a donut is just a donut, you know, it's potentially at very most $1, $2 to make, maybe, but some of these whiskeys that you're pairing are, you know, 3 figures or even more, and the ideology between the two, what does it say? How does that work? You know, and I think that's kind of a funny thought process to have people kind of mold their mentality around, you know, the acceptance, I guess, is
One of my favorite.
it's fun. It's supposed to be fun, you know.
One of my favorite things about your tasting, actually, in Speyside, and kind of what we said at the start tonight, is that like old school whiskey tastings or wine tastings are to be quite serious and all about, oh, do you smell apples and get pears? No, it's definitely not pears. It's definitely apples. And people get quite hung up on that. Whereas it was what Cinco de Mayo, I think, was the festival, and you gave everyone maracas.
Yes.
The idea was that if someone started to get too serious, I mean, we're drinking whiskey and donuts, you know, it'd be fun. You know, if someone got too serious, we'd start shaking maracas. And I do remember there was one guy who was like, no, that's not the right expression. It's this one and this one and this one. And I just slowly picked up the maraca.
That's just it. I mean, you know, how many tastings have you been to where it's just you have a love for it, you have an affinity and appreciation for consuming it, for the makers.
Yeah,
that's obvious.
Yeah.
Just drinking libations is supposed to be joyous, fun, and creative, and just sharing memories and sharing stories. You know, that's it.
So is eating donuts.
So we're eating donuts. Yeah.
I just hope them to just that's slightly too far away from us.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. Thank you for taking the time. Time difference is quite a lot over there, so thank you for joining us. And Slange. Yeah, cheers.
Slange. Thanks for sending these. Cheers.
Yay.
Good talking with you. Hope the tasting goes well. Hello, everyone, and have a great day. It's only noon. It's only noon here, but I'll share a drink with you.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Get the technology sorted.
Thank you so much, guys.
Bye.
See you soon. There we go. All good?
All good? All right, great.
There we go. Yes, so Johnny and Erica are good friends of ours, and it's nice to have them in. And, you know, we don't want to feel like we're stealing the idea of whiskey and donuts, but it's where the inspiration came from. And we've done it once, and it went down so well. And you know, it is a fun thing, you know. And donuts are sweet and light and fun, and good way of whiskey can be viewed sometimes as like an old man's drink, something that just keep you know.
Can't do this. Can't do
Mess around with,
that.
yeah, it's like don't buy a drink of water, don't, you know, but actually you can drink it how you like it.
You like it? Yeah. You pay for it and you have it.
You really do.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed that, and hopefully we can now have number 4, and you guys weren't praying for us to end our conversation keep on drinking, but so we're going to whiskey number 4. So I'll just put the bottle a bit closer because it is empty. It's a lovely bottle design. So this is Keebocken. New sort of branding for Keebocken. Keebocken is made at Tomatin, but is not Tomatin. So different cut points, different brand completely. And this is one of 3 of their new whiskeys. So they do this one, which is signature, which is American Oak Oloroso. One more chance. It'll come to me. They do part 2 or series 2, which is Black Isle Porter Stout. Stout or Porter Stout? Stout and Moscatel. And then they do number 3, which is Japanese fortune cask. So yeah, really interesting kind of cask they've been using. The story with Keebocken is it's sort of a mythical kind of ghost dog up in Tomatin, and the story kind of goes, I've heard it a few times, but guys are maybe wandering home from the pub and they see this sort of ghost dog and they try and touch it, and they touch it, like disappears, and they come home and they look terrible, their eyes are all crossed over and they're shaking and they're not feeling very well, and they kind of say to the other half that, oh, I swear I've seen this sort of ghost and this thing is haunting the village. But actually, I think they probably just had too much whiskey. is the kind of story behind it. So yeah, they make it during the winter in small batches. They made up a Tomatin that is a completely different brand from Tomatin. So yeah, we're now entering kind of lightly peated whiskey here. So
Like what you're talking about.
yeah. So.
And the donut we've got with this one here, it's actually one of the favourite of mine. And we have a chocolate mousse. So it's a rich dark chocolate and it's salted as well. So it's like a salted dark chocolate mousse that should balance that Keebocken flavors as well. So yeah, let us know what you think.
So bourbon, Oloroso sherry, and North American virgin oak. First my notes there, but it's important to know that 3 different casks. And yeah, lightly peated. I think it's nice. It's a really good introduction to smoke. Without going into that crazy Isla. And with that sort of dark chocolate, I think it makes it really approachable. Really tasty. I love what they've done with the vanilla. I really like that.
I think if you're quite new to whiskey as well, you know, sometimes smoke's quite intimidating and quite scary, and it's always been something that I'm quite versed in, and I've always really enjoyed smoky whiskey. I'm quite lucky in that sense, but yeah, I think when you have something quite rich like chocolate and it's sweet, it's a good way of balancing that out a little bit and getting used to that flavour, you know.
I definitely enjoy that donut. Eat a lot of that.
Yeah. No, I can't get past the matcha one. I think the custard's still maybe a winner for me so far.
Yeah.
Possibly. If you have any favourite whiskies or donuts up until this point, let us know. And we'll see if there's like an overall winner.
Yeah. That donut was unreal, Gary.
Great,
yeah.
Thank you, Gary.
Amateur drama, I'm not. I am impressed. Sorry. I'm impressed with the Keebocken, not tried any of the new range yet. Yeah, he had some samples of them dropped into the bar, and We haven't found the tune, have we? Let me see if we can.
Let's not do any more sound problems, guys.
All good?
Yeah.
Cool. Now, if it's a little bit quiet, let us know and we can try and change the mic settings and turn it up a little bit. So yeah, good combination. Whiskey number 4, David Chisholm is keep walking. Kind of here. Yeah. A wee time out and sort it out.
We can figure this one out here. Keep it really technical glitch. Let us know if you're struggling to hear us.
Let's see. Audio.
Technical fault. First time doing it, guys. If you bear with us a wee bit, you know.
Is there no sound coming through at all? It's muffled out. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, whiskey-wise, for me personally, so far my favourite would maybe be Japanese and Kushu actually. It's really nice. It's quite light and we're not sleeping as well. Quite impressed with that. It's good, eh?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So yeah, keep walking. Big fan. I think still we know the retail. I think it's about 40 to 50 pounds probably from that mark. And yeah, just a really nice presentation as well. Big fan. Big fan. Good one.
The box lovely, eh?
Yeah, I really like it.
Great.
Really like it. I'd say for people who are maybe steer away from smoky whiskey normally, but I think that's a good introduction for them. Okay, ready for number 5?
Yeah, I'm excited about number 5 actually. This isn't going to be the new over in whiskey world. This is good. What about you guys? Starting to get that little whiskey glow. Whiskey smile, you know?
And sugar rush, I think.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Okay, guys. Whiskey number 5. We have an indie bottler. So when I started kind of getting into whiskey, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, independent bottles kind of confused me a little bit. I almost kind of thought they looked like fake versions of the distillery, but I couldn't have been further wrong. Indie bottles are probably the most accurate representation of actually a distillery's character. Quite often they're single casks, non-chill filtered, cask strength, which basically means they've not been cut down to 40, 43, 46%. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. Things like the Kushu, the Balkan, all these drams are really good in different scenarios, especially if you're new to whiskey. I don't think you should be throwing a single cask strength at someone, but there is a charm to them too, because it's not been kind of played around with. I think most whiskies get cut to 40, 43, 46% because it's most palatable. I mean, we have a little bit of water here, but the first 4 whiskeys I've kind of been quite happy sipping away.
Yeah.
I think it's not overly aggressive on my palate. I don't have that sort of sharp alcohol kind of feeling. But yeah, indie bottlers kind of often just bottle as is. And Adelphi are probably one of, if not my favourite, independent bottler. Big fans of them here. And their stuff they've been releasing the last couple of years that we've been getting in here has been really popular with you guys, with us, just with everyone really. It's been really knocking out the park the last couple of years. So this last dram you're having is a 10-year-old Glenrhynnes, single cask strength, no chill filtration, and it's 55.9% alcohol. So looking at the colour of it as well, you can see it's been a very active cask. So this is first fill Oloroso. Very, very sherry. So a lot of people sometimes describe things as like a sherry bomb. Glenrhynnes had a quite interesting and confusing sort of distilling kind of, not history, but they had a change. So in 2007, they changed the way they distilled. Previously, they had a triple distillation method, which I won't try and explain to you because I'll just confuse myself and everyone. But basically what they would do is they would rather than having a wash still, where the baker's got, and then out, and then you put it through a spirit still, so double distillation. What they do is they take that and cut it into parts, and parts again, and then parts again, and they use sort of heavier parts through. So that's why Benrinnes kind of fell into the category along with sort of Valuade and Mortlick as having that sort of meaty, sort of chewy kind of flavor profile. This is post that, so this is now double distillation, but still has. I remember trying this before we did this, and it still has a. I remember Connell, who's the brand rep for these guys and sorted us out with the stock, described it as engine oil, which I thought was quite good. So yeah, have a smell, have a taste, but it definitely packs a punch, and I'd recommend using a few drops of water with it.
Yeah, I just have to sit there.
Yeah.
Water,
And the donut, famous donut.
Oh, and the donut, yeah, of course. I'm getting sucked into the whiskey now. So the final donut is the one everyone's been raving about. The guys who tried it before last year, and is the old fashioned. So it's a kind of an easy taking old fashioned. There's no filling in this one, it's just a glaze. But we use sort of cherry, Angostura bitters, and we have like a slight Angostura drizzle glaze over the top with a wee orange peel on the top. So when you drink an old fashioned, you often get the orange twist and you zest the orange to kind of get that flavour. So that's sort of what we're going for in this one as well. So same thing.
Oh yeah, that's the one for me. That is the one. So the classic sort of recipe for an old fashioned sort of whiskey, sugar, Angostura bitters, stirred down over rice, and then, as you say, garnish some orange. You get the Angostura orange. Only thing missing, the whiskey. So I think if you asking to see the bottle, that is
10 minutes.
10-year-old. Yeah, good luck finding a Delphi stock. Really sought after. I think we're not the only ones right now who think they're doing really good things. So check out some online shops, and we actually might hopefully be trying to get some stock in this year. That was the plan. But with everything going on, that's maybe going to be put on the back burner for a while. But we've got a really good relationship with them, and they actually are behind the Ardnamurchan distillery as well. So we were lucky enough to go over last year, to Ardnamurchan, and some of their spirit, even at 2-3 years old, is really, really good. So exciting to see what they come out with in the future with that. But yeah, big Delphi fans, big fan of this one.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
So I suppose now that you've tried everything, maybe you can make some pairings of your own. Maybe there's something in there that you think, oh, number 5 will definitely work with whiskey number 2, etc. So yeah, let us know. Excited to see if you've got any interesting pairings of your own. Yeah, what do you think? Is there anything you want to mix and match?
Kind of still enjoying that.
I know the mouthfeel of that Benrinnes is really big, eh? Yeah. I'd add a bit of water to mine. Just to lift off that punchiness, you know. But it's good. I think the old fashioned just fight through that, kind of.
Yeah, it's big enough to handle it.
Big enough to handle it, yeah. I'm gonna have sugar high actually.
Silence is a good sign when it comes to anything. Any questions, John? No? Any comments? Any favourites?
Connell would like to see your dance moves.
My dance moves?
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Scott Adamson is asking for a dance off.
A dance off?
Yeah.
Don't put me into this, boys, okay? And you know you
There's
have
a story behind this.
I'm not getting
I feel like that's a cop out from Scott Adamson. I think he needs to come up with his own crap. So, to fill in the other viewers, Scott Adamson asked me to do an interview with Tim Atten maybe 3-4 weeks ago. And it was sort of Q&A, which was great. And I kind of surprised Scott with a Q&A at the end of my own. And I think the question was along the lines of, if you had a gun to your head and you had to, pull off a dance move that would impress people to save your life, what would the dance move be? And it was the moonwalk or the running? It was the Running Man, I think. Scott did. And we encouraged him to do it. So he was very embarrassed. But I'm all for embarrassing myself, but I think you should think of your own. So, anything else? What have we got? Number 5. Yes, we can start looking about some combinations, I guess.
Well, I think that number 2 donut, that matcha one, is probably my favorite.
Yep. Talk about embarrassing yourself, almost did it there.
I mean, there's pouring and then there's dunking it.
So, a few shout outs while we're here. We've got a few birthdays from people who are tuned in. So we have Hazel, Dad Brian. So happy birthday, Brian.
Happy birthday.
We also have Ian Milton.
Good.
And we have my Uncle Charlie. So happy birthday.
What way to spend a birthday? Whisky and Doughnuts, eh? Definitely.
So, as we're sort of mixing and matching, feel free to comment. Just like to sort of say thanks as well. So this sort of event didn't organise itself. So, special thanks to, firstly you for making the donuts. Nicole was in, I would say, from 6 o'clock this morning and the day before doing all the prep, making the glazes and everything. And you've got 5 donuts in front of you, but times that by 50, you have 250 of these. So it wasn't an easy task, and I think you've absolutely nailed it. So
the good team around.
Well done.
Thanks very much.
Drivers as well. So you guys, by the sound of things, all got your packs successfully today. So we had a couple of volunteers with my dad. We had Scott Adamson from Tomatin and Connell, who did all the near one. So thank you very much to you guys for helping out with that as well. My sister as well. So Karen designed these little placemats for you guys as well, which I think are great. Quite interesting. We've got some white ones and we have some black ones. We started off doing black ones and had a fight with the printer. Turns out a £17.50 Epson inkjet thing prints 10 of them. So please don't throw those away. Maybe save them for the next one. So we changed that. So now we have ones with less ink. But yeah, thanks very much, Karen, for designing these. I'd like to say thanks to the guys at Tomatin. The guys at Tomatin and Balkan, different brands, remember. They donated some whiskey for us. Connell Delphi, who donated this cracking dram for us as well, and the guys at White Mackay as well, who got involved and sent us some spare here. So, as we all kind of know, bars and restaurants and everything are kind of up against the wall right now, and it's a little bit tricky. So that kind of support to help us goes a long way. So yeah, thank you very much for that. And Johnny and Erica, thank you for joining us from across the pond. That was very good. And lastly, you guys as well. So we put this event up and we had 50 tickets and they sold out in 3 hours. So thank you very much for supporting the event. It does mean a lot to us. We can't wait to have you guys back in the bar. But for the meantime, I think this is quite a nice way to spend an evening. And yeah, really genuinely thank you, because we can't wait to be open, but this is probably the best and closest we can get to at the moment. So yeah, thanks for the support. And finally, I think we're going to try and do this event again.
It's a lot of fun for us and hopefully fun for you guys, and we'd love to do it again and try something different. Yeah,
so it's a good excuse to think on a Wednesday. So I think
not that I'm back to studios right now. No. I feel like most nights I'm like,
every day is kind of the same right now, isn't it? So so we're going to do this in 2 weeks' time. Same time, same setup, different donuts, different whiskeys. Probably not Callan.
Same faces.
In faces, yeah. So
Probably not.
Callan here. I know.
Probably.
I know. So we're gonna put our tickets online. We kind of want to give you guys first dibs on them because you guys kind of supported the first event. So as soon as we kind of shut off here, I'm gonna put up 50 tickets on the website. Same way to buy them as last time. So if you guys want to get involved again, please do. And yeah, thanks again for supporting us. And I guess we'll probably just say our goodbyes now and leave you guys to enjoy your donuts.
If you have any questions, like you can post that or email message, drop some email and whatnot. Yeah.
That's it, really, I think, yeah. So yeah, well, thank you guys. Cheers. Enjoy your drams. Enjoy your donuts. And yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Cheers, guys.
Maybe the pen drop at the top right there.